Time for Chapter 17, The Wonders of Technology. Now, yesterday, remember, Stumpy found her way back to Kona's house. She found the watch on the roof, and Murray led her in. She's back with her babies, Gwendolyn and Kona and Murray and Stumpy and all the babies, all three of the babies. Everyone's so happy. They're all back together and everyone's safe. So that was a really good chapter. This one's called The Wonders of Technology. Remember, this year we talked a lot about technology and how it's changed over time. So let's see what kind of technology they're talking about here. Life in Professor Albert's house for the next several days was magical. Stumpy's wanderings had left her rather thin, so Kona took on the job of fattening her up. Food upstairs continued to disappear at a steady pace. Poor Professor Albert was making trips to the grocery daily. He had decided a sneaky chipmunk definitely was stealing the food, and he contrived several schemes for hiding his groceries. None of them worked, of course, not with an experienced bat in the house. Kona had promised himself that once this adventure was over, he would be a perfect dog for Professor Albert forever, to repay him for all the food they'd borrowed and the lamp he'd crashed. He would never pull at the leash. He would never bark at the UPS truck. He would never drip water from his bowl onto the kitchen floor. He would be perfect. With Murray's help, Kona sneaked boxes of shredded wheat, bags of English muffins, and jars of Spanish peanuts downstairs to his guests. Stumpy's health improved each day, and her children were very happy to have real squirrel milk to grow up on again. Stumpy had told her friends the whole story of her night in the ice storm, how she had left her children in Murray's care, believing she could find Paradise Lane and Kona. She knew Kona would give shelter to them all, but of course, Paradise Lane was the wrong road completely. It was even on the wrong side of town. And for 2 days, Stumpy had wandered through all of its yards and trees, looking for a chocolate Labrador. Then, the third day, on the upper end of the Paradise Lane, she saw from high up in a tree a yard where about 20 chocolate labs were playing. She thought she was dreaming. She rubbed her eyes hard and looked again. Yes, it was 20 chocolate Labradors, and they all looked like Kona. Believing she had finally found the house of her friend, Stumpy leaped from the trees, ran across the power lines to the other side of the street, and hopped up onto the gate of the yard. She wasn't sure which dog was Kona. They all looked so much alike. So here is Stumpy telling her friends about her adventure, what she was doing. So she just hopped up on this gate and she's looking for Kona. So she stood up there and yelled as loudly as she could, "Kona, I'm here!" And see all the dogs? Hold on, let me get this so you can see it. There's a whole bunch of labs there. Do you see them all? And they're all barking at her. Those Labradors chased her right off that gate and into a tree, and they stood under that tree barking at her all day until a woman came home and put them back in the house. Poor Stumpy, she was very confused, for she did not understand the dogs' unfriendly behavior. They were not at all like Kona. She managed to make her way back to Gooseberry Park. Then she was stunned when there was no sign of Murray or the children. Her tree was gone, her family was gone, her friend was gone. She wandered the town, asking for news of a chocolate dog who might be looking for her. No one could help. But then one day, while she searched, word began to spread about a dog and a sign for a squirrel on Miller Street. In the morning, the rumor traveled through every den in Gooseberry Park, beginning on the west side, of course. In the afternoon, it went above ground and through every tree still standing. By supper time, it was out on the street, and at nightfall, when Stumpy warily asked an old pigeon sitting on the courthouse lawn whether he'd heard of a dog who might be looking for her, the rumor finally hit its target. The old pigeon, who knew every neighborhood in the city, led the little squirrel directly to Miller Street. In the soft green glow of the wonderful watch on the roof of Professor Albert's house led her to Kona. After staying in the professor's basement for a few days, Stumpy became curious about the way people live in houses. So when Professor Albert was away, Kona would accompany her about the rooms and show her all the wonders of technology she had missed by living in the trees. Kona showed her the professor's clock radio, his compact disc player, a CD player, his electric can opener, his VCR with remote control, his toaster, his heating pad, and his refrigerator. Stumpy was very impressed by all of the food Professor Albert had stored in his refrigerator. Staring at the shelves, she said, "He must have collected all summer long to get this much food put away." "Oh no," said Kona. He got most of it just this week." "Amazing!" Stumpy exclaimed. But of all Professor Albert's technological wonders, it was his television that Stumpy liked best of all. When her children were asleep and the professor was out, Stumpy would sneak upstairs to see what was on. Because she had always been a very practical squirrel, she liked the PBS station best. She listened to every word of Wall Street Week and The Frugal Gourmet, but This Old House was her favorite. And once, when Professor Albert and Kona were off for a walk, she crept upstairs into the kitchen and fixed the professor's leaky faucet. It was all quite extraordinary. So here you can see the three friends watching. I don't see Gwendolyn. Is she in there too? I don't see Gwendolyn in this picture, the crab, but I do see Kona, and I see Murray in the bowl, and I see Stumpy, and they're all watching TV. That's definitely some technology that little squirrel had never seen before. And that is the end of that chapter. So far, Professor Albert has not discovered that Stumpy and her babies and Murray are living in his house. But he does know that something unusual is happening because his food keeps disappearing because they all keep taking it and eating it. So I don't know. I don't know if he'll find out that they're living there or what's going to happen. So tomorrow I will see you with the next chapter. All right, friends.